So we're lucky to have this morning with us not only my co-host Patricia Lloyd from Lawyers Financial, but State Senator Michele Reagan. Senator Reagan, the reason why we wanted to invite you on is because we know you're very heavily involved in real estate, finance, part of the Senate, and there's really a new proposal or idea that you've come up with that could be another solution for our listeners. And so could you share that with them?
Absolutely. The idea is to connect private investors, and that would be private money, to Arizona homeowners who are underwater. And I always use myself as an example because I think it's easiest, one, for me to understand. But I am a person who has great credit, never misses a bill payment, and I'm stuck at a fairly high interest rate right now, and I'd like a lower interest rate. However, because I continue to pay, which I commit, the ultimate sin of continuing to pay my bills every month. No, I'm not eligible for any of the modifications because the first thing they say is, well, you need to be behind, and I have a fundamental problem with that.
Right.
So this connects private investors to Arizona homeowners who are in my situation, who would like to, quote, refinance, and right now no bank will touch me because I'm underwater. So this gives people another option, and basically you achieve a lower interest rate because you're being connected to the investor, and you're skipping the servicer, you're skipping the master servicer, and we're connecting the two together where the investor actually is going to get a better return than what they're getting now, and the Arizona homeowner is going to get a lower interest rate than what they're getting now. There are, that's the 30,000 foot level. There's a lot of devil in the details with issuing securities and how we clear title, and we believe we've got most of that figured out. But this is going to be an uphill battle. So anybody that's listening and or thinks that this is a viable option, that I'm going to need your help. I call it David versus Goliath. Maybe those big banks. They're
right.
not going to want to give up their servicing.
That's right. This is in essence going around the banks, right?
It is going right around them. But let's face it, Mick, if they wanted to do the right thing, they could have been doing the right thing for the last 2.5 years.
Exactly.
So, and I'm not here to bash on banks. There's a need for banks. There's this doesn't end any of their current practices. This just gives people like me a place to go. And I believe I call them the Michelles. And I believe there's a lot of Michele Reagans in Arizona. We estimate about 30% of the people right now in especially jumbo loans have nowhere to go, and they've got excellent credit. They're a good risk.
Exactly, and they're going to continue to pay their bills, just like you say. You're going to want to pay your bills as well. And so, for those of you out there that are underwater and you have a loan that is considered under the conforming loan limit, like $417,000, here you have HARP 2.0, right? The new program that we keep being told is going to be announced. And as far as I can tell, the new announcement date is pushed further and further back.
Yeah, as of yesterday it was in February. But they pushed it to February, and Pat may know more than that.
Yeah, but you have to be Freddie or Fannie backed.
Exactly.
2.0 too. So, and there's a lot of people when you look up your loan online that they're not Fannie or Freddie backed.
I am not a Freddie or Fannie backed loan. I feel like I keep running into roadblocks every time I think, oh, there's something that I'm going to be able to use and to help me, because I took a loan and I feel like I have a moral obligation to pay back that loan. And so every time I think there's something that's going to be out there that's going to make it easier for me to pay that loan, I find out I don't qualify. I make too much money, I pay on time. Not me, my husband. We know what I make. If we go on my income, I could qualify for anything.
There you go. Exactly. I say maybe food stamps even.
I probably could. Yeah, and then you laugh, but I don't.
I hear you. And again, we really appreciate your service because I couldn't do it for that amount of money. I know that, but there are many of our people that on our Capitol Hill that do that. And I was amazed as I was researching everything, the variance in what state senators and state representatives actually get paid. I forget what state it was, but some of them make close to $100,000 a year.
State representatives?
I could have swore it was.
You're talking ones in other countries, or in other cities.
Definitely in other
states.
States, yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Our neighbors in California, and not that I advocate this because I think it's actually way too much, but they make about $150,000, and they also have full staff offices in their cities. So in my case, where I represent Scottsdale and Fountain Hills, I would have a fully staffed office there as well. But we don't have that, and nor should we. But there's a happy medium between 24,000 and 150.
And I don't know, you realize in New Mexico they don't get paid at all.
Correct, but in some states they also only go in once every 2 years. So, didn't know that.
Once
did you?
every 2 years to like the Capitol to vote on stuff?
Correct. They do
Oh, wow.
a 2-year budget, and they're, Texas, I believe, is another one of them. They only go in every 2 years.
Oh, wow, I guess I didn't realize that. We're going to get ready to go to break. We're going to talk more about Senator Reagan's proposal, because actually you're going to propose it. It's going to be a bill, right, that you're going to propose? You're writing the language to the bill right now?
Right, we're writing the language as we speak. Everyone's working this weekend, and it'll be dropped hopefully the second or third week of January.
So we host Patricia and I this morning is Senator Michele Reagan. We're talking about her own version of, I guess we'd call it HARP 3.0.
No, please, let's not.
Okay, so we call it.
She doesn't want to be part of her.
I don't want, and it's a very important distinction, and it's probably the most important part of my proposal is you have to remember that HARP is taxpayer money.
Okay. Oh, good point.
Yeah,
Good
and
point.
mine is private investor
Private
money.
so no tax. So what the proposal is let's help some of the other underwater homeowners who might have jumbo loans. And probably in many cases it's going to be a jumbo loan, right? It's not backed by Fannie or Freddie, and not expect the government or taxpayer money, I should say, to kick in, but get private investors to really understand that, hey, I can get a good return on my money, good yield for my other investors if I participate in this program.
Absolutely.
That's what
you hit the nail right on the head.
That's what we're talking about. Perfect. Back into Senator Reagan, your proposed bill coming up in the new session after the first of the year. You're going to be introducing a bill, right? That's going to talk, or it's going to help, if passed. That's what we're here for, to gather support.
Let's use the word when passed.
When passed, we're here to gather support. So those of you out there, anybody that has a jumbo loan underwater, want to stay in your house, you really want to get them a copy of this show. So we're going to garner support for this bill, and it's going to help underwater homeowners, again, using private funds, right?
Correct. And underwater homeowners, and I make some qualifications, underwater homeowners who are current on their loan, who've been doing the right thing, and have kind of
and qualify.
It resisted the temptation to just walk, or resisted the temptation to not pay. There's no help for those people.
Right.
And there needs to be something.
Right. And so let me ask you this, are pretty much all the pieces in play? Now, I know that you said, I think, 7 months worth of work, a lot of behind the scenes meetings, a lot of research, a lot of meeting with investors and people like that can put things in place. Are all the pieces in place and you're just working on the language on the bill, or are there still pieces that need to be put in place?
Most of the pieces are in place right now, and we are just, I'm not an attorney, so I can come up with great ideas, and then I need to give it to our brains at the Capitol who actually get it written into the proper statutes. We have a few loose ends that we need to tie up. We should be able to do that by the second or third week of January. And then, we drop this, and we allow the members of the Senate and the House to decide if this is something that they'd like to see in their state. I've already spoken to a number of them, and they seem wildly enthusiastic. And then, of course, we have the governor to keep briefed. And so the ultimate goal is to get this signed with an emergency clause so that it can go into effect as soon as session ends.
Perfect. And so you use the term drop the bill. I envision you standing at the top of the Chase Field and dropping something onto the pitcher's mound. So that just means read it and announce it and read it?
When everything is confidential until it's what's called dropped. And when it's dropped, it's put into a hopper, which is nothing more than a wooden box, and it actually has a frog that sits on top of it that chirps when you put something in it to alert the clerk that there is something new in the hopper. It gets taken out, it gets scanned in and numbered, and then it just becomes public. And so when people say they drop a bill, that means that it's no longer something secret that you're thinking of or something confidential. It's now for public display.
Public record. And it probably doesn't have a number until then, right?
And then, yes, at that time it's assigned a number.
And that way then after sometime in January, we should be able to address this by a certain number. That way, as we're garnering support for that bill, because we're all interested in helping the real estate market recover. Regardless of how that happens, we need as many solutions as we can possibly get for people.
Exactly.
That way people have choices.
And Mick, you just bring up another really exciting point. Some people have said, well, you just want to throw out the banks, or you want to throw out the servicers, or MERS, or securitization. I'm not interested in throwing anything out. Those are viable options for some people. They can still exist, and they can certainly coexist with a program like mine. Mine is an alternative. It's just another tool for people to use if they need it. So I'm not out to reinvent the wheel. I'm just out to invent something new, perhaps.
Exactly. And new is good. New is exciting. That's what America's all about, right? The entrepreneurship of wanting to start your own company, or wanting to help people reach out to people. That's what it's all about.
This is really a good state to do this in too. One, because we have a number of underwater homeowners. but more importantly, Arizona's kind of, we're still a cowboy state. We still think for ourselves, whether that's good or bad. That's what we are. And this is really going to be taking a lot of the power away from Freddie and Fannie and putting it in the hands of our local community banks. And where I believe banking was always meant to be. I know that's where my parents, when they bought their first home, they went to a local community bank.
That's where it all started.
Right.
That's where it all
It's
started.
bringing it back down to the community and state level. And that to me is so very, very important, because Freddie and Fannie is this big unknown. Have you know, anybody tried calling them? Anybody gotten a return phone call?
No, no return calls these days.
Exactly. You call your community bank, you generally get a return phone call.
Exactly. And so, shockingly enough, we've only got a minute left in our show. I mean, that's just, I heard the background music, so we're going to be wrapping things up. And I wanted a special thank you to Senator Michele Reagan, who's, this is Sunday morning, could have been doing a million things, but thank you very much for not only being here, but for your dedication.
Thank you. I appreciate
working
that.
for less than the minimum wage on Capitol Hill, we know that. And so, and reading your bio, I can say that I guess I'm assuming that being a state senator is just a stepping stone for you, but I'm not sure if I'm correct or not. But
I take it 2 years at a time.
2 years at a time. So thank you for joining us. Again, this is the Real Estate Radio Network. We want to wish you guys all a Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. And we'll be back again next year. Thanks very much.
Oh, fantastic.